Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Angie Tolpin, who is a tech entrepreneur and family man, and I'm sure so much more. So welcome to the program, Angie.
Oh, it's great to be here, Mike. I love your podcast. So many great guests.
It is cool just to learn about different people, and invariably you'll have a couple set questions that you want to start with, and then you'll just go deeper on one, and you just never know where it's going to turn out. So I'm excited to learn more about yourself and your company. So give me a little bit of a background of what led you to your company and being a tech entrepreneur, and then, putting family man in there tells me that you've got your values in the right place.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I think a lot of people can relate to that. You find out early if you're cut out to work in a job somewhere or not, and I certainly did, and just been down that path and tried a lot of things entrepreneurially. I was in direct sales for many, many years, and I built an organization throughout Washington, Oregon, 32 office locations and lots of leaders, and I love that for the impact purposes, but you have to know when to shift, and then I shifted and built an agency, publishing agency, and ended up closing that down, but learned a ton, and I've been business partners with Conveyor co-founder Stephen Ryan for about 8 years, and we launched Conveyor 2 years ago, and it's an answer to boring training in the digital world.
That's cool. So let's just jump right into that, because I like how you describe that, the answer to boring training, because I know that typically if a company of any size, small, medium, or large, wants to train somebody, and it even could be a coach who wants to train their, tribe, their audience, what do you do? Here's a PDF, read it, whatever, right? But tell me a little bit about what led you to think that is a need out there today.
Well, I think a lot of trainers, are like, hey, they're hesitant to create digital training in the first place because it's nowhere near the impact of doing in-person work, whether it's speaking, consulting, coaching, training. And that's true for most platforms. It is true. But how can the answer is like in a corporate environment or for the trainer, how can you create something that aligns with where human behavior is today? Because I think everybody can agree, if you've ever done online training, it's not necessarily enticing you to do more. It's pretty boring, and the retention rates out there are horrible. Even Ivy League schools getting sub 25%. The highest retention of digital training is in the corporate world because they want to keep their jobs, so they do it. But what are you saying to them if you're giving them something that's antiquated compared to what they use in their everyday lives on their phone? And, so really this is an answer to, hey, we need to start over. We need to look at how do you build something from the ground up that totally aligns with the YouTube world.
When you're describing that, it makes me think of many webinars that I've been on where, you can tell that they're trying to use tools like, hey, let's take this poll and right now, and then here comes the pie chart, right? And some of the webinar tools, they can tell if people are, I don't know whether they can tell if your IP address, but they can say, hey, a large percentage of you guys are multitasking, get off Facebook, So what did you find is the solution to that in your training platform?
Well, I think, regardless of our platform, but here's what I think, some rules I think would be helpful to everybody to think about, is you don't want to associate your content with email notifications. Email is just a place where people are guilt-ridden, and you're trying to get people to do something optional in the noisiest place in the world, which is online, right?
Yeah.
If you think about how often people flip off of things or shift in a social media scroll or on a YouTube, how many YouTube videos do you finish? Usually looking for that little piece of a video that you want help with something. So we're quick to abandon things, and so you've got to associate with something that's positive, which A notification through text messaging is very, very positive because it releases dopamine in the brain, and as long as you're expecting it and you're wanting the value, that's key. Another thing, so how you notify people is really important. The other thing is short. Short is better. In fact, I'm making an argument, and we're proving it with the numbers coming in of retention rates of learners, is that shorter content equals deeper learning. And so it's a really a blessing also to the author, because now it's easier to produce the content. The shorter your videos are, the more they're going to retain and people are going to like them and learn and get the next one and so forth. But in addition, it's easier to produce them. So no longer do we have to have this big production. And that's a lot of times the friction that keeps companies from keeping the training relevant, or keeps trainers from actually implementing, digitizing, creating leverage with their IP that way. And so I think that you really have to think about shorter is better. Now, here's something I think would benefit everybody to think about is learner trust. If you want people to actually learn from what you put together and implement it in their lives, so you're actually fulfilling your mission of impact, then you have to not break learner trust. And learner trust is they have to be able to learn something valuable within 5 to 7 minutes, get complete it, and get recognized for that amongst other people. And if you accomplish those 3 things within 5 to 7 minutes, you're establishing learner trust, and you're keeping their appetite high for the future things you're going to send to them and notify them about to learn from. But if you break that, when they get a text or an email notification, even if you did the email, they're probably not going to do it, because they're going to think, do I have 15 minutes right now? No, I don't have 15 minutes right now. Even if they like the content, they're not going to come back to it unless you establish that.
There's so many things there that make me think of some really cool stuff. So let's start with, it made me think of gamification. So I'm certain that what you have included as well in your training platform is tracking, or, hey, here's, tick this off. And, because sometimes you log into some of these things and it's like, oh man, where did I leave off? I can't even tell what the last module was. And, good, here's a status bar. Or, oh, good job, you've taken this assessment and now you're, got 2 gold stars, and let's, go to the 3rd. So what does that look like? Have you implemented some of that in there as well?
Yeah, you got to have gamification. And, just to clarify that, you explained it actually really well, which is gamification is simply a progress bar, like you're saying, or getting recognized for things, or getting achievement currency. And so, we've totally done that. You got to have the gamification in there. You can prescribe achievement currency for every action they do, and it goes on a leaderboard, and you can turn that on or off. And you can also, another aspect is social learning. You have to think about what are all the psychological drivers that keep people going, and social learning is really powerful. Immediately seeing, answering a poll after you watch a short video, and then seeing your answers anonymously in poll results right on your phone immediately. Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
And so that immediate feedback, we're addicted to immediate feedback. You can't make people wait for anything. So, yep. You can get something shipped to you from all over the place in 2 days now. So, we have to be immediate with everything. And so if you give people that immediate feedback, it's a big deal. And if they feel like they're going through something with other people, even if they don't know those people, if they know them, it's even better. But man, that is powerful. It's like, oh, hey, I'm kind of mid-level on the leaderboard. Here's a new lesson. Not only do I like the content, not only do I have learner trust, it's going to be short, but I also want to make sure I get my achievement currency and my name's associated with greatness, and I move up on the leaderboard. And so you're kind of hitting them from all directions there.
Well, and I'm sure there's a psychological research study that we can use to back this up, or refer to back this up. But have you ever had someone say, or you do this, where you have your to-do list for the day and you actually add something, you did something and you add it to your own list just so that you can immediately cross it off, because it's like, yeah, I did something, and you get that little rush of dopamine, or I checked this off, or I crossed it off. Well, we all want that, and sometimes it's like, okay, I've got to go heads down for the next 2 hours and knock this project out, but when I'm done, I'm gonna make myself a cup of coffee, or whatever the little thing is. And I think that that's a really cool thing. And the other aspect that I like too is you get some of these courses that you undertake, and man, I'll have a 2.5 hour module. Ugh. But these little snippets that you're mentioning, the shorter term, easy to consume, you get those little dopamine hits way quicker because, hey, I knocked that module out. And then when the next alert comes up to do it, you go, I can do that, but a 2.5 hour session, I don't know. And you put it off, and then it could end up not, being completed. So I really like the mindset that you're doing there.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. And by the way, I confess I've done that before.
Yep.
We want credit for making progress, and I think that's just a great example. And a lot of times people have this thought, when I talk about this, that well, wait a minute, but I have some videos that need to be 20 minutes, or they need to be 30 minutes. I have really deep content, really compelling content. Like I'm a professor and I lecture for an hour, and it's really, really important. And what I would say is that I'm not saying it's not important. But what I would say is that we're not asking you to take a 60-minute, session and turn it into a 5-minute video. That's not what's being said here. What we're saying is get any of the fluff out of the 60 minutes you possibly can, make concise 3 to 5 minute videos, and make more videos, but just make them smaller so they're achieving what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome. So let's think about who uses this. What would this look like in real life? Is this a corporation that says I want to have my HR training on something like this? Is this a coach that says I want all of my clients to be on this? Who all would this be for?
Yeah, we started with the trainer world, the speaker trainer world, and we have tons of those people that are leveraging their IP through digital training and even creating corporate licensing deals with their corporate clients. But you know what? We have so many corporate clients coming on board. I mean, that is really our sweet spot, but it really works for both. Kind of a neat thing is we understand the trainer world and the corporate world, and so we really have both, and it's working extremely well. So I'll give you an example. A very, very large multinational bank put a group of middle managers through a 30-lesson course in our platform, and they made it optional, and 100% of them finished that course. Wow. They were just addicted to it. They loved it, and then they wanted to use it for more things. So they use it for onboarding new hires and employee training. But really, I think in a corporate environment, it's like, how do you create a rhythm of training? Because, culture is really important, organizational culture. And if you're actually creating a learning culture, learning isn't an event that happens once in a while. Learning needs to be an ethos, part of the ethos that's always happening in an organization. And how do you do that if it's hard to produce and hard to, get the stuff together? So we've really answered that. And on the trainer side, it's very easy to monetize and build your course and sell it, and we have all those mechanisms.
Yeah. I just think that it's so neat because you're focusing on one of the main points of contact is through text, right? So you kind of alluded to the fact that email, I don't know, not that you are against it or don't use it, but isn't the main point of contact to alert someone of a new training is email, text? Text message? Yeah,
it does both, but we've really seen those unbelievable engagement and completion rates through text notification. I mean, it just blows email away.
Yeah, and I think I heard a stat a few years ago, and I'm sure it's been updated, but 92% of all text messages are opened within minutes, whereas emails, maybe they don't get opened at all, maybe it's days, but text and on the mobile device, it's the most engaging, and I think that's really important to keep in mind because it's going right where your people are.
Yeah, you're right on. Yep.
Cool. So let's think about this. Let's wrap up with this question. What is, if someone is listening to this thinking, I don't know, this sounds really intriguing and awesome, but where do I start? How do I know it might be right for my company? So what would be some indicators of a company that you would go, well, if you have this going on, then it might be something to look into?
Yeah, I think if your budget's getting cut and you need something that doesn't cost as much to use software, but also completely lowers the cost of production of the media assets, that is huge. So if they're looking to save money, that's huge. If they are feeling like what they're putting out isn't loved by their employees, and even if it's just compliance stuff, like we got to give them an experience that's lines up with what they're used to in their everyday lives. I mean, Steve Jobs kind of changed the world in that way, which we're used to, devices in our fingertips, whether you use Android or not. Android copied Steve Jobs. So, so it's like, we have to be up to par. So if you feel like you're not up to par and you want something that's modern, relevant, and that people are actually going to use, then that's great. If you're in the training world and you're like, man, I really have this great content and I want to figure out a seamless way to, put that into a training that I can either use in concert with my consulting or sell separately with, online marketing, then, we have those customers too.
And it's making me wonder too, are you giving the ability for someone to create the content within the platform, or do you have to have the content external to the platform?
Yeah, we chose to let people produce their content wherever they want. So if you're putting YouTube videos up and you want to use YouTube videos that are unlisted, or Vimeo or Wistia, you just put those links in our software and it plays it right in our software seamlessly. If somebody's using Captivate, Articulate, something in the corporate environment, they can use those media assets as well. And we basically created a way to curate it seamlessly and communicate it and create a great learning sequence.
Perfect. Well, if someone wants to learn more, what's the best way they can reach out to connect with you as well as to learn more about the platform?
Yeah, conveyyour.com, conveyour.com, like convey your message with one Y. You can check it out there. There's a demo there. You can put your cell phone number in. It'll text you a link so you can experience that and play with the demo on your phone. And you can reach me at isaac@conveyyour.com or anywhere on social media pretty much.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, thanks so much for your time. It was wonderful getting to know you as well as your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.